Hello, my beautiful people. You're welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, you're highly welcome. I am Blessing, and today we're going to be learning this beautiful bubu kaftan with overlap V plackets and welt pockets. Okay, at any point you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Okay, so let's get started. My fabric is folded into four. Okay, I'll fold it into two and then I'm going to fold it again. As you can see, it's folded into four. We are cutting the front and the back piece together. So this is our starting line. Okay, that's where we're going to be starting our measurements. Then from the starting line, I'll measure my 11-inch. That's where our placket is going to start. Okay, then I'm going to measure my waist 16, and then from my waist to my hip is 8 inches, and then I'm going to measure the length of my dress. Okay, I'm using 34 plus 2-inch sewing allowance. So again, this line is for our welt pocket. And then this is our waistline. My waist is 16, and this is our hip line. My hip line is 8-inch from my waist, and this is our length. Okay, then for the sleeve, the sleeve depends on how open you want your sleeve to be. For me, I am going down with 8.5 inch, and that is going to be my sleeve line. Okay, if you want your sleeve to be open, you can even maintain that 11-inch, or you go with 10 or even 9-inch. Okay, but I am fine with this. That's our sleeve line. Okay, then for my neck width, I'm going to be marking 2.5. Okay, and then for the depth, I'm making use of 1-inch. I'll make use of 1-inch for the depth and 2.5 for the width. Okay, when you stitch it down, you are going to be having 1.5 for depth and then 3-inch for your width. Okay, so I cut it 2.5 to include the sewing allowance. Then at the 11-inch, that's the welt placket line, I'm going to go in by 1-inch. Our placket, the wideness of our placket is 2 inches. Okay, and this fabric is on fold, so I'm going in by 1-inch. When you open it, you will be having your 2-inch. From that place, I'll connect to the width of my neckline. Okay, then my shoulder divide by 2 is what I'm marking now. Okay, just mark that my shoulder divided by 2. Then for my sleeve length, I'm using 11-inch, but I'm going to mark out 9-inch from my ankara fabric and 2-inch from the plain fabric. Okay, so I just marked out 9-inch. Then I'm going to add 2-inch from our plain fabric. Okay, and I'll go down, then I'll connect it to the sleeve line. Okay, so if you want your sleeve to be wider than mine, you can go down. You can even use your 11-inch of the placket, still fine. Then I'll go to my waistline. I'll mark out my waist, divide my round waist, divide by 4, mark it out, and then I'll add 2.5-inch, 1-inch for ease, and then 1.5-inch for sewing allowance. That's what I just marked out. Then I'll connect it to my sleeve line. Okay, connect it to your Then I'm going to add 4 inch. Okay, if from the style, if you notice, the hip part is having enough allowance there. Okay, so 1.5 inch for sewing allowance, and then 2.5 inch for ease in that place. You can either increase or reduce yours. And I'll mark out the same thing I have there on my dress length. Okay, so I'm going to connect my waistline to my hip line with a curve, and then from there I'm going to connect it down to the dress length. The same measurement you have for your hip, the same thing you're going to have for your dress length. Okay, so we're going to start our pockets now. I'm going to mark out, I'm going to get the midpoint of that 2 inches there. The midpoint, I'm just going to mark a straight line there. Then I'm going to take my waist measurement, that's 16. From there I'm going to mark a straight line. Then I'm going to go in by 3 inches and go out by 3 inches from that line at the middle. That's going to be the distance from the two pockets at the top. Now to give it a slant, I will have to extend that straight line down just so we get the same thing on both sides. Then I'm going to mark out 5.5 inch. That will be for our opening. The opening of our pocket is 5.5. You can make yours wider or even smaller depending on the size of your hand or your client's hand. Okay, just so it's go in freely. Okay, so for me to get the second side of the pocket, I will have to measure what I have in this side, mark it down in the other side, as you can see, just so I get the same thing at the two sides. Okay, so I'm going to mark out my 5.5 inches in that side too, so you see that line is guiding me. So one is not too open and one is not too short. You want everything to be the same. So like I said, my opening is 5.5 inches, and that is very perfect for the size of my hand. Okay, so I have the same measurement at the down part, the same measurement at the side, and the same thing at the upper part. Okay, make sure you have the same thing. So from my plain fabric, I cut out 10-inch depth, length, and then 7.5 inch for the width. Okay, 5.5 is for our pocket opening, if you remember, and then 1 inch for our allowance. Then I'm going to go up by 1 inch. I marked out 1 inch up. I'm going to create a straight line from there. And then from that straight line, I'll mark out 1/2 inch. That is going to be the opening of our pocket. Okay, the opening that you can put your hand in. That's that 1/2 inch. Okay, and I'm going to get the center of the width of that fabric. I'm going to I just marked out the center. Okay, as you can see. Then from the center, I marked out my 5.5 inch. I want to get my 5.5 inch. I literally just remove the sewing allowance we added. So we have 5.5 for the wideness of our pocket, right? And then I added 1 inch for sewing allowance. So I just remove the 1 inch I added, just so I get my exact 5.5. That's what I just did there. So guys, remember we are working on the right side of our ankara. Don't forget that. So I'll place the plain fabric on one side of the pocket. One of the side of the pocket, I'll place it, making sure that the line on that side is at the middle of that 1/2 inch. Okay, and I'll go ahead and stitch down the line I created. As you can see, just the way my hand directed, I'm just going to stitch down that part. Okay, make sure that the line on your fabric is at the center of your 2.5 inch. You can pin it down. Okay, you can just go ahead and pin it down before you stitch it. So guys, I've gone ahead to stitch the two of them. The next thing I'll be doing now is to create an opening for the pocket. Okay, at that 1/2 inch, you're going to cut it open. Make sure you're cutting your plain fabric and your ankara fabric together.
It's a simple song. Just open your mouth and just worship him. I've seen your mercy. It's that simple.
So I'm going to notch the two sides. Okay, you have to notch it so it lays very well. Very well. This is the wrong side. So guys, I've stitched the two of them and then I've ironed it, and this is what I have. Let me turn it to the right side. This is the right side of our ankara. Okay, as you can see, our opening is looking beautiful already. So the next thing, I just turn it to the wrong side again, and then to cover up that opening, you have to bring your plain piece upwards a little, and then you iron it down. It's just to cover up that opening. No, don't let it lay on the upper part, please, just to cover up the opening. Otherwise you will struggle to put your hand inside, just to cover up the opening. So when you turn it to the right side, this is what you have. You get. If you're still watching to this point and you haven't liked this video, please do like this video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't. Okay, we have a lot to learn in this channel and you're going to enjoy it, I promise. So please subscribe, stay with us. Okay, so I have ironed down the two of them. The next thing I'll do is I'll take the measurement of the plain fabric, what is remaining there, and then I'll cut out a ankara fabric for that, to stitch it together. You need to use ankara fabric so that when your pocket opens, your ankara will be showing inside instead of the plain fabric. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is to stitch the sides together. If you are stitching, make sure you stitch down that notch you have. If you are making this dress, you will understand what I'm saying. The notch you created when you're opening that pocket, make sure when you're stitching, you stitch it down too together. It's going to help it lay very well. I'll do the same thing to this side. Stitch it round. Okay, make sure you stitch together with the notch allowance that is there. Okay, I stitch it down and I just iron it. I cut out the excess, just iron it now. Okay, so when you turn it to the right side, this is what you have. As you can see, this is what you will have. The next thing I'll be doing now is to attach my back piece. Okay, you place them right side facing right side. Okay, right side facing right side, and we are going to stitch down just the shoulder part, just the shoulder part. Okay, so I've stitched down the shoulder part, like I said, just that place. The next thing I'll be doing is to attach my plain fabric on my sleeve. I'm going to take the length of what I have there and cut it out on a plain fabric. So like I said, my plain fabric, I'll be adding 2 inch, okay, to complete the length of my sleeve. So I cut 5 inch width, and then the length of what I have from my measurement, I just added extra inch just in case. Okay, so at one of the end I fold it with iron. I just iron it down, fold it, and the reason is because I'm going to attach from the wrong side. I'm going to stitch from the wrong side, stitch the fabric and the ankara and the plain fabrics together from the wrong side, and then I will turn it to the right side and stop stitch. So that's why I iron that part. So when I just turn it, I'll just stop stitch on top like that. Okay, so like I said, stitch it down from the wrong side, turn it to the right side, and then stop stitch on top. That's the only thing I'm going to do there. And coming to the neck, to our neck, our placket, we are going to take the measurement of that place, the round measurements of that place, and then add extra inch. You know, it's going to go down a little. Okay, you're going to add extra inch because of that. Just cut extra. Okay, it's better you cut off the excess than having it. So this what I did. I cut out excess length. I can't even remember how much length I cut out, but I cut out excess. Okay, and is 2.5 inch on fold. 2.5 inch on fold. Half inch for sewing allowance, and 2 inch is going to be for our placket. So before I attach it, I'll have to notch the sides to get notch the sides. As you can see, you have to notch it so with my 1/2 inch, stitch it round, stitch it all the way around, and then I'll stop this way. I'm going to stop. Okay, don't do anything again, just stop there. I'll stop there and then I'll show you the next thing to do. So guys, I've stitched it down together. As you can see, I've stitched it round with my 1/2 inch.
How can I ever repay? I can never repay. I've seen.
So the next thing we are going to do now is we're going to push the shorter part, the shorter side inside. Make sure you push it inside, and then the longer part is going to lay on that short part. Make sure you cover that stitch there, that ending there. Okay, and I'm going to cut out the excess I have. Okay, I actually reduce it again along the line. Okay, realize it's too long, so make sure you cover that part. Make sure it lays on that part. Like I said, we are going to stitch down the sides together. You can iron it to keep it in place before you stitch it down. Okay, you create your V shape if you want. You can make it round shape there. You can just fold it in. You can make it V. I ended up having, mine was not really V, kind of. One side was a little bit curved, and I just love the way it came out. So just be creative around that place. So I'll stitch the sides. Okay, I'll stitch the sides together. Iron it first before you do it. It's going to ease everything for you. Okay, guys, I forgot to show you guys. I've attached my plain fabric to the sleeve already. As you can see, stitch it from the wrong side, then you turn it to the right side and stop stitch. I'll just go ahead and finish up with this like I showed you. Okay, you just stitch it down and create your shape at the end, and I'll join my piece together at the sides. Okay, I've done that, guys. I finish up with the placket. I reduce the length, as you can see. Okay, and then I stitch it down. I iron it first before stitching it down. I stitch down the two sides, join it at the sides, right side facing, remember, and then I hem the down part. Okay, I'll just go ahead and give it a good press, and that's all, guys. Thank you so much for watching till this point. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't. Bye.